world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
LinkedIn is pretty great at a lot of things, like helping you tap into the latest trends and insights in your field. We cannot stop your coworker from tapping her pencil. LinkedIn can help you find new jobs that align with your career goals. We cannot help you find the source of that weird smell in the office fridge. Ew. And while we can't stop your coworkers from bringing their hobbies into the office, LinkedIn can help you bring your career to the next level. LinkedIn is the network that works for you.
CRM was supposed to improve customer relationships. Instead, it's shorthand for can't resolve much. Which means you may have sunk a fortune into software that just bounces customer issues around but never actually solves them. On the ServiceNow AI platform, CRM stands for something better. With AI built into one platform, customers aren't mired in endless loops of automated indifference. They get what they need, when they need it. Bad CRM was then. This is ServiceNow.
Hello everyone, I'm Chris Wynn. Welcome to How We're the podcast, and it's the first time since 2015 that Sunderland have been this close to reaching the quarter-final of the FA Cup. And on that occasion, back as I said, in 2015, over a decade ago, we were in the Premier League, and our opponents that day were Bradford City, who at that point were in League One. And today we take on Port Vale, who are currently rooted to the bottom of League One. And even though we think this is all the new Sunderland, we shouldn't ignore the lessons from that day at Bradford. But to get into all that and everything else ahead of today's fifth round clash, I have a couple of gentlemen with me who have a touch of cup fever, I think. And first up, I'm pretty sure we have someone who was there that day at Bradford. It's Gavin Henderson. Hello, Gav.
Hello, mate. Yeah, I was. I got loads of stick for putting something on our Twitter page that day, and people might remember this, but I don't know how I came into possession of a Sky remote from somewhere, right? But I had a Sky remote. I don't know how I had it. I don't know why I had it. I think someone had just left it on the concourse, so I put it in my pocket. And then when we were getting beat, I took a picture of myself saying, "How do I turn this shite off?" And it went viral, and people were like, "Ah, you sad bastard! You only took that to the match to just in case we got beat to take the piss." I'm like, no, I genuinely found a Sky remote at the match. I didn't plan this. But yes, that's about me abiding memory of that one. It was a terrible day, wasn't it? Anyways, why we bringing people down with talk of Bradford? Come on, man. We're better than that. We're gonna win this one. Come on.
Well, that's it. Well, look, we'll get into that because I'm sure there's some lessons to learn from that day, I'm sure. But we'll get into it all because next up is someone who might be able to help us draw some inspiration from when we took on Port Vale in the Cup back in 1992, which can only mean we have Andrew Smithson with us. Hello, Andrew.
Hello, yes, 1992. As soon as you mentioned that year, you had my attention.
Yeah, I don't know about you. I was in the full end that day. And I don't remember. I've got flashes of it, and I've got a good story about when Pete Davenport scored the second goal. But yeah, it was in those early days of Malcolm Crosby, and we were flying. And of course, it's the second team we've taken on in this cup run that we took on that cup run, isn't it?
Exactly. Oh, it's all shaping up nicely for West Ham in the next round, and then Norwich in the semis, and we'll be lining up against Liverpool, no doubt, in the final. I think it's all in the stars. But yeah, that was a great day. I remember it because it was the only game I've been to with my mum. So whilst you were slumming it in the terraces, I was in the posh bits. I was in a seat with my mum because she quite rightly refused to go in the full end. But happy memories, and just it was a great year. How the run just kept on going.
Yeah. Well, stopped us from getting Neil Warnock as manager, but there you go. That's a different story. But yeah, the thing was, when we scored that second goal, I was about 9 or 10, and my brother had me on the crash barriers in front of him. So I was sat on it, and he was kind of behind me. He's quite a bit older than me. And then when Peter Davenport, it was right in the 6-yard box, I remember reaching over to strain to try and see over people's heads. I saw Peter Davenport's foot come out a couple of yards out, toe poking in. And the next thing I know, I'm flying through the air because my brother has just basically flung me into the air, and I'm flying above. I'm about 5 foot above everybody's heads, just looking down on everybody, flying above everyone. And I land on a group of people who wonder why this kid's just landed on their heads. And then while everyone's still cheering and jumping up, I had to crawl back on my hands and knees back up to where my brother was. And his response was to tell me off and say where I got to, and give us a crack round the back of the head for good measure. But yeah, there you go. So that's my story of the 1992 clash against Port Vale. But getting back to the modern day, and we're getting into a little bit in the press conference, Gav, about terms of turning our attention to the cup competition. And it was, we were talking just before we recorded, it was all the kind of big hitters that Register Brisk come out with, because I think that the point was of the questions from the journalists was, well, look, now you've got 40 points. You should, all attention goes to the FA Cup, doesn't it?
Well, you'd like to think so, certainly now. I mean, this is the next game. So this is the most important game right now. It's playing in the FA Cup. We've got nothing to lose. And I used the example the other day of Palace being the current reigning holders of the FA Cup. I mean, Palace aren't a better team than Sunderland. They might have been a year ago. They had a couple of decent players that have now left. But regardless, if Crystal Palace can win the FA Cup, then why can't we? You've got to have that mentality of, if you take the cup seriously, you've just got to run with it and see where it goes. And hey, we might play our hearts out on Sunday and we might get beat. That's the reality of cup football. But I just think, I mean, I think we've been safe for a while, but that 40 points was clearly mentally a big thing to the players, to the coaches and stuff. And we've hit that. So what have we got to lose? Let's go for the cup. Let's go into the last 9 games of the season trying to win every single one of them as best we can. And if we end up in a cup final or a cup semi-final, if we end up in the top 8 position where we could qualify for Europe, that would represent an unbelievable season. In fact, in my opinion, it would probably be the best season the club's had since we won the cup in 73. You would say, wouldn't you? When you take everything into account, given just being promoted, how difficult the Premier League is these days to even just compete in there. If we could achieve something this season as good as that, it would just be the cherry on top of the cake. And I certainly think internally, the belief will be that we can do it, and the focus will be fully on this. It's not a surprise, is it, that Granit Xhaka didn't start on Tuesday, but he probably will start this one. I think that kind of shows you how seriously we're taking the game. And of course, I'm pretty sure did he win FA Cups with Arsenal? I think he did. And I think he did win trophies in Germany. So we're talking about somebody who's leading the dressing room, who has lived experience, not years and years ago, but recently, of winning a cup. So you take all of that into account, you've just got to be fearless and go for it. And yeah, I'm praying that's the mentality. I just want to see Sunderland win something in my lifetime. And if it's an FA Cup, imagine. I mean, it would just be amazing, wouldn't it? So yeah, dare to dream used to be the motto, didn't it? And I think we should bring that back for this one. Maybe not till the end, but dare to dream.
Yeah, that's it. Because 73 was a long time ago, and people are still living off stories of being there that day. And you want to be at one, don't you, to see Sunderland win something? But Andrew, just the scale of this thing. I mean, when you talk about it, because actually with everything else going on, as Gav's just said, this huge season to establish ourselves in the Premier League and the great start that we got off to, we've kind of quietly just kind of snuck into the last 16 of the FA Cup almost without people realising it. And to put it into context, we've only been past the 3rd round of the FA Cup twice in the last 10 years. And in the 52 years since we won the Cup back in 1973, we've only been to the 5th round and beyond 8 times in 52 years, just to put this game into context.
Those stats, Chris, are pathetic, really. if we're honest, it's not good enough. not good enough for the club we want Sunderland to be. But yeah, it's been an odd one. It has just kind of happened on the back burner almost. Everybody's got a lot of attention on our Premier League season, and then we've just had these 2 away games that have just kind of been tucked in the back of our minds. Maybe had there been a home draw, it might be a bit more present in people's memories. But yeah, we've just had these 2 away games. We've done the job with fairly minimal fuss. And the way I see it now, I think things are opening up quite nicely for us. This is obviously any game is going to be difficult, and I hope the club are taking it seriously. But this is the type of draw you would have asked for. You would have wanted to avoid the bigger teams. And yeah, let's change history and improve that record. It's not good enough, but that's in the past. We're now in an opportunity where we can progress. So let's do all we can to make sure it happens.
Yeah. And Gav, that a lot of people, of course, were talked about that 40 points a lot, and it was and Regis Labus has talked about it as well. And if you read my preview this morning, I've talked a lot about it there because I almost kind of compared it to the Arsene Wenger days, and especially the later days where they celebrated getting into the Champions League, where it's not necessarily you haven't won anything, you haven't got a trophy to show for it, but it's a bloody good achievement all the same. Do you think with this cup run, do you think the complexion's changed on it now that we've reached that 40 points, that almost the league is now something we can just go for with ambition and really kind of almost with the shackles off because we've achieved what we set out to do? And with this FA Cup, it's right, we can really achieve something massive because we've already done the main target of the season.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, whilst we've heard a lot about this 40-point thing, I wonder how much that's really, like, did anybody at the club really think we were at threat of relegation? Like, is there going to be this switch that just flips as a result of hitting 40 points? I don't think so. What I think is that the Leeds game was a bit of a blueprint of how we probably should approach away games between now and the end of the season. We're not going to win them all, but we've been crap away. Like, let's be honest, we haven't won enough games. We've won 3 all season. That was the first win since October. So we can afford to be picky now that we're technically safe. You know what I mean? We can be picky. And I think more so, we can look at this and go, that was a big learning experience for us, and we can now go away and think, right, well, let's keep picking up points on the road. We know the home form is going to be decent. Keep picking points up on the road, and then who knows where you might land. There is definitely going to be some pressure lifted, but at the same time, look at the league table. There's so many teams contending for probably 1 space, 2 space in the Premier League. I mean, it was only last night, as we record this, that Palace beat Spurs, and I think Palace have now gone within 2 points of us. So they're sort of creeping up the table, and I think from Brentford in 7th, they're on 44, all the way down to Brighton in 14th on 37. There's 7 points between those places in the table. So whilst, yeah, I think there's an element of pressure off in that regard, I just think you're going to have a lot of teams all with the same ambition to achieve something this season and I think everybody knows you get to 8th, you've got a chance of getting into Europe. So, like, let's just take one game at a time. Don't get carried away with anything. But at the same time, like, relish the opportunity that we've got in front of us. Nobody saw us going this far. Nobody saw us going into the remaining 9 games with the opportunity of a cup semi-final, cup final maybe, and a top 8 finish, which we can do. Both of those things are achievable. They're not ridiculous things to say that Sunderland could be back at Wembley this year and potentially finish inside the top 8 of the Premier League. It's not ridiculous to say that. So why not? And there's almost an element of, do you remember the season we got back to the Championship under Mowbray? Well, chiefly under Mowbray once Alex Neil had left. And we snuck into the playoffs at the last minute, and it was just a mad run at the end of the season. And it was almost like, well, nobody saw us doing this, so why not? Let's just run with it and see what happens. And it was that mentality that got us into the playoffs. I'm wondering whether that's maybe something we can take. Like, we can look back at that and go, I know there's not everybody from that era still here, but a few of the players are, and they'll remember that when it was just almost like, well, why not? Let's just play with a bit of freedom. Let's go for it and see what happens. So, yeah, but obviously you've got to remember at the same time, everyone's going to be looking at Sunderland on their coupons and going, ooh, Port Vale, lowest placed team left in the competition, cup upset. So we've got to be guarded. And I think that was really good what Reggie Slibbery said in the press conference when he was talking about mentality. He talked about matching their hunger. He says we've got to, because it's a leveler in cup games. If you don't want it as much as the other team, it doesn't matter that you've got 100 million, 150 million pounds worth of players on the pitch. If Port Vale want it more than Sunderland, then it'll level things up. And that's what happened with Bristol City the other night. It went deep into injury time. Port Vale wanted it a little bit more. Bristol City got knocked out. Their fans were furious, rightly so. And I don't want us to be another casualty. I want us to go there and be professional. And that's why I mentioned Xhaka before. I think Granit Xhaka's experience at winning cups and trophies will come in really handy for this game, because if he's on the pitch, he will make sure that every single player is busting a gut and in position and doing the basics. Because if Sunderland do the basics and just work as hard as Port Vale, we'll win the game, because we are infinitely a better team. So these things are important. I think let's not get too carried away, but at the same time, it's all there to be won. And I'm just praying that we get through this one and we can look forward to being in the draw for the next round.
Yeah, it's amazing how much getting carried away has played its part in this season, hasn't it? Either one way or the other. But Andrew, actually, just on that, just before we go on the break, and we will talk about another leveler, especially after the break as well. But just to build up what Gav's talking about there in this game, and it's another thing that came up in the press conference as well, linked to what Gav was talking about. Getting to this stage of the cup, Register Briss was talking about how we really had to dig in at Everton. I mean, that was at a time when we were pushed with AFCON and players, coming into the team, playing well and getting past Everton one way or another. Then we had to battle at Oxford and pick our moment and get a goal there and get our noses ahead and stay ahead and get through there. So he said they've earned it up to this point, and it came up as well in the conversation about our performance at Ellen Road, where that was down to our battling qualities. And he responded by saying, you're talking about the basics, that, if you don't have those values to start with, then you're going to be in bother. And Gav's right, especially going to a place like that. If we don't play like that, we are going to be in bother. And the other thing that comes into that is, do you think that almost we are playing games almost like cup ties all season, where we've had that intensity, what you might expect in cup ties?
That's an interesting question. I think perhaps we have been. I take the point that, this is basics we're talking about here, Chris, but we haven't always got those right in the past. We've had talented players before who haven't done things the right way. And that Leeds game is a perfect example of everybody mucking in and working hard to give themselves a position so that their skills can then come out. For me, league, cup, whatever competition it's been this season, Sunderland have worked hard for everything. There's not been many times we've walked away saying, we've been a bit fluky there, we've got away with one there. Pretty much every time Sunderland have got a positive result, it's come on the back of the lads working their socks off. So there's no reason in my mind why that won't continue. And just because it's called basics, it doesn't mean it shouldn't be praised, because we're doing those basics, but we're doing them a hell of a lot better than a lot of other teams.
Yeah. Well, I'm desperate to get into some of these levels and Port Vale's, and I'm going to pick Gav's brain. But before we do that, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back very soon.
Adobe Acrobat Studio, your new foundation. Use PDF spaces to generate a presentation. Grab your docs, your permits, your moves. AI levels up your pitch, gets it in a groove. Choose a template with your timeless cool. Come on now, let's flex those tools. Draft, design, deliver, make it sing. AI builds the deck so you can build that thing. Do that with Acrobat.
Learn more at adobe.com/do that with Acrobat. Instagram teen accounts have automatic protections for what teens see and who can contact them, plus time management tools. And Instagram will continue adding built-in safety features to help create age-appropriate experiences. Learn more about teen accounts and Instagram's ongoing work to protect teens online at instagram.com/teen accounts.
Sports Social Podcast Network, the biggest voices in sport. Let's take a look at some of the lineup. Under the cosh.
Anything you do different in management?
I'd probably get a better pitching side, pan.
Let's be having you.
I love the fact that he's chosen that moment to go, do you know what? Now I'm going to do it.
The England pod.
If he plays regular minutes this season for Manchester City, he will re-emerge as one of the best players that we've got.
All on Europe's biggest sport podcast network. Find your next favourite sport podcast. Search Sports Social Podcast Network and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Verified comparison at content.sport-social.co.uk/comparison.
And welcome back to How We're the Podcast. And I've been eager to get into this, Gav, because you did the opposition preview and you were talking about this. And look, Port Vale on paper, you just look at the league. I think it's 10 points from safety in League One, rooted to the bottom of the table. But I was looking at their form generally, and it hasn't half picked up. And you just look at them and you think, well, they've got nothing to lose. State of their pitch. And Register Briss was saying a team like this, for all you look at the position they're in, they've got an X factor like you just don't know about. And we've got to look at this as a dangerous tie, haven't we?
Definitely, yeah. They've picked up form, as you say. When I had that conversation on the opposition preview, which again, if anybody wants to go back and listen to it, please do. It was really, really insightful because we've been out of the League One for 4 years now. So I kind of forgot about some of these names that were coming up in some of these teams, but it was just interesting to hear about the way their seasons panned out. And the most interesting thing that jumped out of that chat with Phil was that Port Vale have won more games and scored more goals in cups this season than they have in the league. So they're definitely a bit more of a cup side than they are a league side. But since the new manager, John Brady, came in, I think it was a slow start because he took over from Darren Moore. The squad was bloated, obviously bottom of the league, so there'll have been internal problems, personnel issues. People need to move on and just kind of trim the fat, essentially. But since he's been able to do that, they have picked up a little bit. And when I was talking to Phil, I brought up Wolves as another example of a team who was so firmly rooted to the bottom that they're almost playing with the shackles off now, and they're picking up results. They beat Liverpool, they beat Villa, they took a point off Arsenal. Whereas with Port Vale, obviously this is in League One, but they're slowly and surely just picking up a little bit of confidence and results. I think the one thing that, other than being bottom of League One, obviously, the one thing that works against them is because of the state of their pitch and because they've done so well in cups this season, because it's not just the FA Cup, they got pretty far in the Football League Trophy, they got the quarters in that. Did they play Arsenal in the League Cup, or have I made that up? I feel like they did earlier in the season. Yeah, they did. So they got the third round of the League Cup and got beat off Arsenal. But because they've been in so many cups, the fixtures have piled up on top of the fact they've had postponements with weather because of the pitch and all the other things. So they're now in a situation where they're playing Saturday, Tuesday constantly, and they have been for a while now. And between now and the end of the season, it's exactly the same. They've just got so many games piled up. And when you're in a relegation battle, that can be a blessing and a curse. Because if you're winning games, well, it's great if you're playing again in 2 or 3 days. But if you're losing games and the injuries are piling up, then it's a real hindrance, and your squad ends up being stretched. And then, it'll only take a couple of defeats, won't it? And then they're probably way off safety. But right now, Port Vale are sat 10 points from I think in fifth bottom, isn't it, in that league? It's Blackpool. So there's 4 teams go down there. They're a bit off. But all it takes is a run of wins and they'll be believing, and I think they are believing. So they're probably in a really strange place where part of them's thinking, we are literally 2 games off being at Wembley as a League One side, which must be unbelievable. But there must be the other part of them thinking, really do with trying to stay up, and we're actually in a good place right now. And if we pick up a few more decent results, who knows, we might have half a chance of doing it. So I think it's a weird one to try and work out, because if Port Vale were, I don't know, if they were maybe only 3 points off fourth bottom or fifth bottom, you would maybe be sitting going, they're probably just going to hire the kids out here and just get the game over and done with, because they've got a really good chance of staying up. Right now, it's a bit of a pipe dream. It's possible, but 10 points is a big gap to make up. So you just wonder, don't you, how seriously they're going to take this game. And it's that unpredictability about them that makes them very dangerous. I can't work out what version of Port Vale we're going to get. Are we going to get a team who's playing without pressure and understands this is one game of football that anyone can win, and that are really looking forward to the opportunity of playing in front of a big crowd, probably for the second time this season? I think they had a decent crowd for the Arsenal game, where I think their fans didn't really turn up in numbers on Tuesday for the Bristol City game, whereas for this one, ticket sales have gone well. So you've got all of those things. Or is it just a case of, yeah, we can really do with focusing on the league, especially with the frequency of games? So from our perspective as Sunderland, though, we've just got to ignore all of that. Ignore the pitch, ignore the level of opposition, ignore what's going on in their world. If Sunderland turn up and match them, we will win. That's the top and bottom of it. It's not. This isn't a difficult thing to get your head around. We are 2 leagues above, and they are bottom of League One. So Sunderland turn up, they win. We don't turn up, we've got problems. So let's not focus mentally, I hope, too much on what's going on with them, and focus on us, which is a trait of the manager, isn't it? Regis Labris is very good at just focusing on him, his players, us. So that gives us confidence.
Yeah, well, that's it. Well, it is a big one for Port Vale, like you said. I don't think they've been to this stage in the FA Cup since 1988. So, of course, I think they're going to have a full house, and they're going to be having, well, not expectations, but I think they're just enjoying being in the 5th round of the FA Cup.
It's great, though, isn't it, when you have a Premier League team in your lower league, and like, particularly, maybe we can't relate to this so much because we're pretty used to Premier League football and all the rest of it. But if you're Port Vale, who's bounced between League 2 and League 1 and never really achieved anything, like, these are the reasons why you're a fan. You get a Premier League team back to your ground, doing well in the cup. Like, it's a big occasion for Port Vale, this. We can't underestimate that.
Yeah. Well, they haven't played at the Stadium of Light in the league since 1998.
I remember that.
So it's, well, I was just thinking, I'll put in the preview as well.
Quinny's goal, best goal I've ever seen live.
Yeah, well,
best goal I have ever seen live. And anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, dig it out. It's on YouTube. Still my favourite ever Sunderland goal. And I mean that, hands down. I've said it forever. It's just an unbelievable goal. He lobs the keeper and he's running away with his hand there before it's even hit the back of the net. It's just an amazing goal.
And I think most of the fans in the ground didn't believe it was going to go in when he was celebrating it, but it did. It bounced on the line and went over. Actually, as well, I was looking at the fixture list as well for Port Vale. They haven't got a week between games until the last 3 games of the season, which is absolutely ridiculous. But Andrew, look, Gav said, ignore the pitch and all that sort of stuff. It was put to Regis Labris in the press conference, and he reacted as you would expect. But looking at it, and looking at the pictures from the Bristol City game, I mean, it looked like a scene from bloody Braveheart, when everyone, people just running through it and not being able to move and all that sort of stuff. But it is going to impact the game. We can't get away from that. And he did at one point kind of joke, saying, well, building up through the midfield is going to be difficult. And he said we have to adapt, which is, in a way, already going to change the nature of how we play, isn't it?
It will do, but that doesn't scare me because we've had to adapt the way we play so many times this season. And this team, we have said on lots of occasions that they've shown they have the mental focus to get over obstacles. We are so, whatever the opposite of weak mentally is, which used to be the case always in the past. Sunderland used to always have a kind of soft underbelly.
Strong mentally, I think it's the word you
that would make sense, Gav. I mean, it's not even a particularly difficult word. It's just cup fever. It's obviously getting in my head and messing with us. But yeah, we're strong mentally, so we should be able to deal with those issues. There's lads in our squad as well who have played in lower divisions, so they're not going to be going to Vale Park and be kind of feeling out of place. All of our top players as well have gone through a career development. It's not like this is the first time they're going to turn up on a pitch that's a bit bobbly. So I'm not too worried about that. It is nice though that in comparison to Port Vale, as Gav says, we don't know. Will they see this as a distraction, or at least will they see this as a good game on their way to improving their results? For us, there isn't that doubt, and I'd be keen. Don't worry, Chris. This is rhetorical. You don't have to get the history books out. I'm kind of interested of those 8 previous occasions when we've progressed this far in the cup. I dare say that's happened whilst we're also either challenging promotion or fighting against relegation. I remember there was absolute hell on when Gus Poyet made a whole load of changes away at Hull. There's no need for anything like that this time. We can go into this game just purely with this game in mind, and that will give us a huge advantage, I think.
Well, thank you very much, Andrew. Perfect segue into the team lineup for the game. I'll start with you, Gav, because I thought tip my hat to Nick Barnes for trying, because he did talk about opportunities for other players. And he specifically mentioned Harrison Jones, I think, in his question. I think it was a bit of a loaded question to see if he could get a bite. It was interesting because Regis the Bush replied by saying it would give opportunities for players, and it would be maybe a smaller group of players. He left the door open for changes, and we've had a big debate. It kind of kicked off in the chat the other day, people saying, well, Xhaka is half fit, maybe you should give him the week off and things like that. I mean, what's your take on it?
Pick the best team, and that's what he said he would do as well. I think he was being polite. He wasn't going to sit there, and he doesn't give much away, so he wasn't going to sit there and go, Harrison Jones isn't going to play. He was just being polite, and but then he followed it up by saying, we'll pick the strongest team possible, which is what he said, I think, before Oxford, before Everton. He did make changes for those games, but this is slightly different. We've got a lot of injuries. We can't really afford to make too many changes, I would say. And to be honest, it sends a total wrong message if you play Harrison Jones in this game. I use him as an example because he's the name we've discussed, but it sends a total wrong message. What does that tell Port Vale? That, Sunderland think they can just put a kid in who's never kicked a ball all season in the first team for this game. It says that we're weak and we're vulnerable and we're not focused on this game. We're not taking it seriously. Taking it seriously is picking Granit Xhaka, Habib Diarra, Trey Hume, Dan Ballard, Omar Alderete, and going for it. I think the belief is, and I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Trey Hume and Siddiqui are banned actually, aren't they? Is that right? Yeah, so they're not available. But that doesn't mean we can't pick a strong team. So he is going to make changes, but they're going to be forced ones. And when he talked about a smaller group, it's literally those two coming out, isn't it? But at the same time, I was working this out the other day. I think we can still pick a really strong team. He wasn't asked about, and this might come out subsequently, after we've recorded this, but he wasn't asked about Dennis Serkin, I noticed. And I wonder if Serkin might be close. Because I know him and Ronaldo, the target was 10 days, wasn't it? So could they be available for this one? I don't know. If Serkin was available, I would like to see him come in. But even if he isn't, we've got options right across there. You know what I mean? We've got plenty of players. So, it's going to be a strong team. I mean, my suspicion is if Serkin's not available, and I don't know if you were going to come and ask us what I think, but I'll kind of segue into it, I guess.
You know me too well, Gav.
Yeah. Obviously, Elborg in goal will be undeniably the choice. It's only him or Simon Moore. Roof Swino's struggling. Left back's a bit more tricky. I would suspect it'll be Luke O'Nien just because he's played there before. We haven't got a lot of options. The alternative would be we go to a back three, we play with wing backs, and O'Nien plays as a left centre half. But I'm just thinking about the shape we traditionally play. I'll stick to that at the minute, so we'll go with O'Nien left back.
Well, just quickly, that was where the question came from, really, from Nick Barnes, wasn't it? About Jones potentially a left back, wasn't it?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, but I think if anything, it'll be Luke left back or Luke on the left of a back three. I even actually know because you got Alderete, Ballard on 09 could be the back three. But yeah, I'll go with Luke left back, Alderete left centre half, Ballard, Hertrauder, midfield three of Xhaka, Lefay, and Diarra. On the wings, I'm going with Enzo on the left, and I think Chems and Talby will play on the right.
You went Lefay in the middle.
You picked
I did.
Twice.
Ignore.
I mean,
okay.
I wish we could have two Lefays. I mean, if we could have more than one Lefay, would be flying.
Yeah, we don't cut things out in this podcast, so I'll own that. Yeah, again, I'll go with Talby on the left, Angulo on the right, and then up front, this is where I'm not sure. I don't know. I would stick with Mayenda, personally, but I've just got a feeling this Adore might start, and I've got no problem with that. He should be troubling a poor League One defence. So, but I would just for continuity's sake, if Mayenda's fit, play Mayenda.
Okay, well, Gav's gone with his 11, Andrew. I don't know if there's a kind of you agreeing, especially with that. I suppose that position up top, maybe the one to think about. Maybe does the back four pick itself, and that down the wings, because you've got Chris Rigg in there who hasn't had many minutes, and of course on that position up top, Isidore did come in for the Oxford game, didn't he?
He did, yeah. I'm along similar lines to Gav. There's a couple of changes just with regards the goalkeeper in Elborg starting ahead of Moore. I bet Patterson is absolutely gutted. He hung around for half a season, didn't get a sniff. Roofs looked indestructible, like he would never drop out. So he's gone, right, I'll go and get some games in the Championship. What happens? A few weeks later, Roof's out. So Patterson will be gutted. But yeah, Elborg in goal for me. I would be going with a back four of Hertrude, Ballard, Alderete and 09. Where I'm slightly different, I think Chris Rigg should come into the team. I would have Chris Rigg and Xhaka playing with Diarra slightly further forward. I know it's not his preferred position, but I would have Angulo on the right. He looked good against Leeds, mind.
Yeah, he was brilliant.
His work rate, which we were led to believe anyway, his work rate was phenomenal.
He really helped Luke O'Neill on that right hand side.
Yeah. It was pleasing to see, and I hope that's what we get from him going forward. I would have Lefay on the left. Another observation just from the Leeds game, Lefay, I don't think this got picked up anywhere, but I was just watching the highlights back. In the build-up to our penalty where Isidore has the shot, he does brilliantly to keep the ball alive in high up the pitch. And just I didn't see it mentioned anywhere. I thought that was really good. He works hard all the time. He's got great skill. So, I'd imagine he's due to start. And for me, up front, I think you stick with Mayenda. His performances the last couple of games have been really good. I know Isidore did start against Oxford, but he got a bit of a daft booking, had a couple of half chances. I don't remember him being particularly influential, whereas Mayenda in these last two games has had a big part to play.
So just to double check, in that midfield, you didn't have Talby in and you had Chris Rigg in there, is that right?
Yeah. So it would be Xhaka, Rigg and Diarra. It's that thing again though, Chris. Sometimes it could be a 4-2-3-1, sometimes it could be a 4-3-3. I don't think any of them would be shackled to any one particular position. They'll be expected to be fluid and to see how the game's going and change shape accordingly.
Yeah. Well, I think go on, Gav.
Yeah, I mean, when I was talking before about a back three, the alternative would be wing backs, wouldn't it? And we could probably play Talby and Angulo as wing backs, which would be interesting. But yeah, that would potentially free up Hertrauder. He could maybe even play a wing back. So yeah, we've got that's a nice thing, We've got so many injuries yet, and we've got two players out suspended. Yet we've still got options. We're debating who could play up front, whether Rigg might come in, options on the wings. Like, we're in a decent place still. I'm not worried about the team we're going to put out. I think what's important though. It has to be when we see that team come out, we have to go, yeah, that's probably the strongest team he could have picked. Like I don't mean to be disrespectful to players like Harrison Jones or who else was on the bench the other day, Milan Alexic. That doesn't send the right message to anybody that those players would start this game. It's about time Sunderland took cups seriously again, particularly now, and that's got to be a thing of the past. Don't use cups as a chance to give minutes to people. No, I want to see Sunderland win. I want to see us in a cup final. I want to see us in a cup semi-final at Wembley. And the best chance of doing that, pick your best team. So whatever he does, yeah, let's hope it's viewed as the strongest side he could put out.
Yeah, I'm still trying to decide whether his biggest thing is to try and pack the midfield in the middle of that mud bath in the middle, or get down the flanks. I think that's going to be a big decision, and all eyes are going to be on that. But just in terms of the cup, Gav, in terms of this game, look, we've talked about all the potential pitfalls. Do we care? Is about a performance and all that? Is the cup just all about getting through?
Yeah, that's all any game's about for me, as demonstrated by Tuesday night. While Leeds fans were losing their minds over the way we played, I couldn't have give less of a shit about the way Sunderland played. I just wanted 3 points. I think the best mentality to have, and it's been demonstrated by the fact that Arsenal look like they're going to win the league, you have to win at all costs. That's your mentality. If you need to waste time, if you need to slow the game down at times, if you need to utilise long balls and throw-ins, I couldn't care less. I just want to win games of football. And it's a League One team who are scrapping at the bottom of the table on a really bad pitch. It's not going to be a classic. It's not going to be a scintillating game of football. Like I would be amazed if our game plan is to go there and dominate possession, because the ball's not going to zip around. They're not going to treat the pitch. They're going to be thinking, right, if we want to win this game, let's make this pitch as bad as we possibly can. It's probably not been touched since Tuesday night. They wouldn't have had a drop of water on it other than the rainfall. So it's probably going to be dry, long grass, mud all over the place. I just think that's fine, because, to be honest, you think about the way we've played in recent weeks, it's been going back to front really quickly. It's second balls, it's scrapping and stuff. So whilst we're not going to sit behind the ball in the way we do in the Premier League, I think we're set up for a bit of a scrap, aren't we? So I couldn't give a shit, genuinely, Chris. I don't care.
Yeah. And just on that, and Andrew, last point about the game before getting predictions, but just about the early kickoff time, 1:30. And I think in some ways it adds to the type of game that Gav's describing, doesn't it?
It could do, yeah. We felt the Fulham game at times was a bit flat because it was a Sunday and it didn't quite feel right.
Oxford as well.
Oxford was, yeah, but I think because we're now getting into the latter stages of the cup, they'll just automatically be a bit more about the fans and the players, and it could end up being a bit of a battle. If that is the case, then that's fine by us. It's not like we're a team of Premier League fancy Dans. We showed at Elland Road, if I'm allowed to still use this catchphrase, under the lights. We showed that we're more than happy.
Under the lights.
Yeah, under the lights at Elland Road. We stuck in and we battled hard and we grafted, and Aldrete's getting blows to the face. 09 is. At no point, though, did we shirk or did we go into our shells. So if Port Vale think that we're just going to be like some sort of Premier League team who are going to roll up and think we're better than that situation, I think they'll be surprised. We'll take it seriously, and yeah, I think we'll battle away and give it a good go. As just a point though, Chris, you were asking Gav there, do we care about the performance as long as we get the result? When you're getting thrown in the air off your brother and remembering it 30 odd years later, like Gav says, nobody gives a nick. Nobody says, oh, I hated that day because Sunderland weren't great or whatever. They say, yeah, I had a great time with my brother and I loved it.
Yeah. For all I know, we could have been crap that day and won 3-0. I can't remember. But other than Gav, look, in terms of the FA Cup, we've been to the quarter-final stage 5 times. in 50 odd years since 1973. Are we getting through?
Yes, I'm not worried about that. I think I'd have been worried if all the talk had been about rotation, and if Xhaka had probably started on Tuesday, that would have been a sign he wasn't going to play in this one. I think that was a big indicator of the mentality. So I don't think we go into this game with anything other than razor sharp focus on getting through and being ruthless and just doing our jobs. So my prediction is we go through, we win in normal time, it'll be 2-0. I don't think it's going to be a good game. I think it'll be crap. I think we might even win a penalty. We might get a goal from a set play or a scrappy goal, but I think we'll win. I don't think we'll concede a goal. And having weighed it up a little bit, I think Port Vale could do without this game. And once the initial buzz of being in the big occasion, the first 20 minutes or so is over, our superior fitness, our superior quality will tell. And yeah, it'll probably be a goal in each half, I think.
Well, if you read my preview this morning, that's exactly what I've gone for as well. And Andrew, we just need your prediction now. Are we going through to the quarterfinals?
Oh, we're going through 100%. I mean, lads and lasses listening to this, if you've got other things to do, don't even worry about watching the match, because
I think Port Vale,
they're going to be playing this on Port Vale Fan TV on Monday morning when they beat us.
Port Vale are about 4-1. I might stick a few quid on them now.
In all seriousness, I am confident. I think Sunderland will take it seriously. I think we'll name a strong side and give it a really good go. Just to go for a bit of variation, I know you both fancy it 2-0. I'll say that we win 2-1. I mean, people do have to be careful. Just because they're bottom of League One, they're not some like Sunday League plodders. They're professional players.
They've won 4 games already. First one was against a non-league team, 5-1. They beat Bristol Rovers 1-0 in the second round. They beat Fleetwood 1-0 in the third round. And then they beat Bristol City 1-0 in the fourth round. So they've been keeping clean sheets in the cup as well. So they're clearly very good at sort of scraping these games out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like I say, they're a professional club. They're not just some like sort of team that's fluked their way through from the qualifying round. So I hope people don't get nervous if we're not winning it within 10 minutes. I noticed as well, Andre Gray went there in January, and has-been strikers love a resurgence in the cup, don't they?
Have you seen how many sort of has-beens they've actually got? I was looking at this the other day.
They've got a few, have they?
They've just been picking up players who've basically played in the Championship, who are in the late, mid-30s and are after a contract to the end of the season. They've got quite a few of them. I think Onel Hernandez plays for them, who used to be at Norwich.
Oh,
he's there. He came off the bench the other day. Grant Ward, who I think used to play for Ipswich, if I remember rightly. Grant Ward's not long been there. Jaden Stockley was, when we did the opposition preview, Phil Bowers compared him to Niall Quinn in style. But he did caveat, he was like, I'm not saying he's as good as Niall Quinn, but imagine Niall Quinn, but his legs have gone. They've got Ben Amos. So there's a lot of names in that squad where they've milled around like League One and the Championship for a good few years. I think Ben Hennigan plays for them. So yeah, there's a bunch of players that will probably, it's going to be like the ghosts of our past when we go into this game. I think we're going to be like seeing players that we forgot about for 3 or 4 years, and they're still somehow playing in the Football League, and they've come back to try and haunt us.
Gav, I am worried that I've already given a personal guarantee that we're going to win, and you and I have both used the phrase "has been." So yeah, this could very well come back to haunt us.
The other one, Andrew, they've got a mag up front as well, who scored in 2 of the rounds.
Oh, that is just League One days.
Yeah,
that's
exactly what I said to Phil Bowers. I said, back in League One, it felt like every week, every team who scored against us had a striker who supported Newcastle and celebrated like Alan Shearer.
Aye.
It was just a thing in League One. This kid called Ben Wayne. He's from New Zealand, but his parents are Geordies, so he was brought up as a mag. And it was one of the first things he mentioned when he got interviewed after the game on Tuesday. He said, I grew up as a Newcastle fan, so I'm looking forward to this one. And he's somebody Phil talked about quite a bit. He said his confidence was being on the floor all season, but the new manager's helped pick it up a bit.
Yeah.
So there's lots of little stories you can pick off of this. I mean, I know I can see Chris shaking his head and cringing a bit here, but this is the magic of the cup, man. There's all these different permutations and things that can happen. It's not particularly nice when it's your club involved, but there's so many possibilities with cup football, and that's why this is an exciting game. That's why we're not just going into this and thinking Sunderland are just going to walk in there and batter Port Vale. No, it'll be bloody hard. It's on a shit pitch against a team who are horrible. So as long as we know that and we go into the game with the right mentality, we will win. But that's the important thing. Mentality has to be right. And I hope that's what the crack has been like since Tuesday night in the dressing room, going into this game, Granit Xhaka making sure that everybody is switched on. We can't piss around. We've got to get through this game. Doesn't matter we're playing a poor team. We've got to win at all costs.
Yeah, you're right. We have to win at all costs. You're right. And if we turn up and we perform, we should do that. Just touching on Ben Wayne, I didn't know his background there. I didn't know he had Newcastle connections. I'd be annoyed as a Port Vale fan, by the way, if the first thing he's saying is, I used to support you. I'd be saying, no, you're a Port Vale player. You want to be focusing on doing well for Port Vale. But he scored the winner against Bristol City and took it really well. It was a good finish, to be fair to the lad. Aye. He could have easily blazed it. So again, that just proves this point I'm saying about they're not like a bunch of no-hopers. I could see them scoring a goal, but we're on another level in terms of league places, and we should expect the team to prove that on the day.
Well, cheers, gents. All we need is a striker recruited on CFAX, and I think we've got the lot. But anyway, I will remind people that we leave on a positive note that we went for a full house of Sunderland's victory, just to go back to that point. But that just leaves me to say thank you very much, Andrew, and thank you very much, Gav. Hopefully you enjoy your day as every other Sunderland fan, hopefully with the right results. And thanks again, everyone, for listening. Don't forget, if we're not enough for your pre-match build-up, we've got loads more build-up on the Roker Report website. We've got Martin, who draws the unlucky straw of trying to second-guess Registered Briss, so we'll have his take on what the starting 11 will be, along with everything else on the website today. And don't forget, we'll have a pod with immediate reaction after the final whistle. And I think you're going to hear my voice again on that with a couple of the others, so look out for that. But from us, it's bye for now.